am I gonna get those eggs, my eggs, into those different baskets? We really have three choices. So the first choice that you have would be to look at individual stocks or bonds. So you could literally go out there and buy all 500 companies inside of the S&P 500. The second choice you have would be to look at mutual funds. So with a mutual fund, you are hiring a stock picker and his team of analysts to beat whatever their benchmark is. If it's a large cap fund, they're trying to pick the best, maybe 50 stocks out of the S&P 500 every single year. Now for that, they're going to charge a fee. On average, between 0.5% and 2.5%. And I'll be the first one to say I'd pay somebody 10% a year if it meant that I was going to be able to beat the market every single year, right? And that brings me to the third choice that we have, which would be ETFs, which stands for Exchange Traded Fund, or index funds. So the primary difference between ETFs and index funds and mutual funds is that we're not paying somebody to choose what to buy and sell inside of there. Instead of hiring someone to pick the best 50 stocks out of the S&P 500, we could just buy the entire S&P 500. And Jack Bogle, founder of Vanguard, has a famous quote that says, don't try to find the needle in the haystack, just buy the entire haystack, and there's always going to be a couple needles inside of there. So at the end of the day, what really matters to us is not only cost, but the value I'm receiving for what I'm paying for. Am I getting what I'm paying for? Well, ETFs, because we're cutting out this middleman, are much more cost effective. They're about 1/10 as expensive, which makes sense. It's a prepackaged, service or vehicle to get you exposure in all those different areas. It could be as broad as the S&P 500 or as specific as large value companies, for example.